This is fresh. I actually haven't even taken off my shoes, so I shall do that. I have a co-host today, as you can see. These are my shoes, by the way, I like them. He just looks delighted all the time, so that's fun. The reason I am warm and sweaty is because I just got home from a very cool event. I found out in the last couple of days that there's going to be a second-hand book sale, but not just a second-hand book sale. It is a book sale in a charity book sale where you pay 10 quid on the door and you can bring home whatever you can carry. It's like an all-you-can-eat book sale, which I already knew was dangerous, but I did get quite a few books. And what I mean by that is that this is the overspill bag, because I went this bag and I filled it. So, whew, very warm. Let's see what books I managed to snag. I literally just came in the door, so these aren't really put in any kind of order or anything. I have a mixture of fantasy, horror, thriller, because those are my jam. Some random books I just thought looked really cool. I have a couple by one author, so I just want to get those in. I want to get those ones into some sort of order. Yeah. And some of them just have the coolest covers as well. But that's not the only reason that I got them. Okay, I am ready to go. So I guess I'll get through the multiple author books. Refreshing. So the author that I have is V.C. Andrews, and this is a very cool cover. You can see the people in the petal there. The petals in the window. This is the sequel to Flowers in the Attic. So I actually read the prequel to Flowers in the Attic. I have the ebook of Flowers in the Attic because that's one that everyone knows, and I'd never read it, so I wanted to jump on the bandwagon there, and I found the sequel, so cool. But also I feel very much like this would be a bookubus book, because look at this. This is Rain by V.C. Andrews. Not only is it incredibly cool and shiny, it's also got one of those cool covers with a hole in it. How awesome is that? Literally have no idea what it's about. It's about a girl called Rain. V.C. Andrews books already paid for itself. Up next, I just thought this one had a really cool cover. It's called The Enterprise of Death by Jessie Bullington. And I did read the, I sort of quick scanned the synopsis of these books. And this one is something to do with a necromancer back in medieval times. So, of course, I'm gonna get that one. 2 nights ago, I went to, there is a National Leprechaun Museum in Dublin, and I've been walking past it for years, and I've never looked up what they did or what the museum was about. I was afraid that they were telling Americans that leprechauns were real, so my friend and I decided to go to the nighttime walk around, which because it's for adults only, no kids allowed. Turns out it's quite X-rated, weirdly enough, but it was honestly one of the best experiences ever. Not a lot about leprechauns, but about ancient Irish mythology and the sort of origin stories of Ireland, which I've always loved. And we had a fantastic guide and storyteller called Nisha, who just brought these stories to life. And you go to different rooms in the dark, and he would tell the stories of the Tuatha Dé Danann and the Dagda and stuff, and it was just absolutely fabulous, and I loved it. And so when I saw this, probably very much not in the same vein, but I still had to grab it. It is called Fairy Tale by Raymond E. Feist. I think it's American. No, don't focus on the onion. I think it's an American author. I'm not sure. So could be bad, but I'm definitely still going to give it a go. I absolutely love mythology and stuff, especially Irish stuff. And as I said before, I'm writing a book about that stuff. So anything like that, I will absolutely give a go. This one, I was on the fence about grabbing it, but I a greedy guts, so I absolutely did. It's called The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Bedore, and it's about someone called Alice, spelled AlYss, destined to become Queen of Wonderland until her parents are murdered. She flees to safety in our world. Years pass, now it's her time to return. So I think it's a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. I'm going to see how it goes. Could be cool, who knows. We have this lovely little vintage looking book, Thornhold by Mary Stewart. I think this is actually possibly a romance, but it seems to be a romance with like the village witch or something to do with this cool house she lives in and it having magical powers and bestowing them onto her. So I'm gonna give that a go. It looks like a cool little book. My legs hurt. My legs are starting to hurt, so oh, my knees. Okay, getting old. One that did grab me by the cover is Here Comes the Miracle. A few of these are LGBTQIA plus friendly. This one might not be. Oh no, it is. Two teenage boys fall in love. A baby is born sort of miraculously very early but manages to survive. I think there's romance in it, and then later on in life they're trying to get some other miracle to come along. This is by Anna Beecher. Read that? Maybe. But love the cover, love the concept, and it's won a few awards as well, so I'm gonna give that one a go. Have another queer book here. Lovely. It's called Pantomime by Laura Lamb, and is about I think an intersex character called Jean who like joins a circus. Wouldn't we all love to join a circus? Wouldn't we all love to have the skills to join a circus? I saw this one and I knew I was probably going to be the only one there to pick this one up. It's called The Priests of the Abomination by Ivor Drummond. Look at that cover. Vintage all the way by Ivor Drummond. How old is this? No idea how old it is, but I'm going to guess that it might even be older than me. It says 35p. 35 pence? It's definitely older than me. Good lord. Yeah, it's 30 pence in the UK. They were selling this for. I mean, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Next up, we have another gorgeous cover. This is a fantasy. The Last Namsara by Kristen Cicerelli. And it is Asha is a dragon slayer. Fractured kingdom. The only person standing in her way is a defiant slave boy. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Love the cover. We're going to see what this fantasy holds for us. Oh, I grabbed this on the way out. I think this is like a crime thriller. It's called The Soul Collector by Paul Johnson. And it's about a guy who had been targeted by a serial killer, and then he manages to rebuild his life, and then the serial killer kills his best friend and starts coming after him. So I thought that would be an interesting read. I recognised this name and I thought I'd give it a go. Paul Tremblay. It's the Little Sleep and No Sleep Till Wonderland. So I think I have a few of his horror books, but this one is a Detective Mark Genovich omnibus. I think this is thrillers, so I'm gonna give it a go. We shall see how that goes. 2 books in one, that's pretty good. I also have another writer I'd heard of, so Robert Harris, The Second Sleep. I do need to get more sleep. Maybe that's why I picked these. This one is 1468. A young priest arrives in remote village to conduct the funeral of his predecessor. The land around is strewn with ancient artifacts, which the old parson used to collect. Did his obsession with the past lead to his death? Ew. So that's quite old. 1468. Good lord. We're gonna see how that one goes. Next one I got for my friend. Actually, he is working today, so he asked me to grab him a book. It's called Omerta by Mario Puzo. I picked it because it's the author of The Godfather, and my friend doesn't really like horror books, although he just borrowed The Haunted Vagina off me, and he said he liked that one, but I assured him they wouldn't have any of those kind of books there. But he was watching The Godfather the other day, seems to like it, so I'm gonna give him this one, see if he likes that. Up is another author that I know of, Christopher Paolini, who did the Aragon books, which I have on my shelf over there. This is The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm. It's Tales from Alagasia, which is the world where Aragon is set. So I think these are just sort of short stories that do involve Aragon and other people from the Inheritance Cycle world. So I thought that was pretty cool. I do like his work. This one just sort of looked amusing to me, and I do love these kinds of things. It's Foster's Historical Irish Oddities. It's a compendium of true stories from all over Ireland, and if I know my Irish brethren, there's going to be some random ass stories in here. So I think they're just like little short, sort of almost jokes, comedic little things that you can tell people. So I think I'm going to enjoy this one. Next up we have another cool cover. This is John Crow's Devil by Marlon James. This is set in Jamaica in 1957. On a day beginning with a bad omen, black vultures, known locally as John Crows, crash through the local church windows. A handsome and charismatic stranger drags the village preacher from his pulpit and takes over both church and congregation. Using vengeance and damnation, he wastes no time delivering both, and in doing so starts a power struggle that sets the village of Gibeah on a path to destruction. So this looks very cool. I don't think I've ever read a book set in Jamaica, so very cool. I'm liking that one. Another international writer. This is The Sacred Book of the Werewolf by Viktor Pelevin, who is a Russian writer. Now, the actual money for today's book sale is going to efforts in the Ukraine. Can't blame every Russian citizen for what is happening. So many of them do not want any part of it, but I thought this was really interesting. This is sort of a... I'm just going to read the little paragraph at the back because it's hard to explain. Hugh Lee is a beautiful, slender, and curiously fox-like. She lives in Moscow and works as a classy prostitute in the city's premier hotels. When a client goes inexplicably and fatally berserk at the sight of her in his luxury suite... Oh, her name is Hugh Lee. Hugh Lee has to leave in a hurry. She decides to explore new avenues and places and ad on the internet, and that's when the trouble really starts. A supernatural love story and an outrageously funny satirical portrait of modern Russia, The Sacred Book of the Werewolf introduces us to an unforgettable cast of perverts, FSB agents, oil tycoons, and amorous werewolves. So when I read that, I had to jump in there and see what the hell is going on with this one. So definitely liking the look of this one, like the cover. I'm gonna see what that is about. Next up is another queer book. I think it's The Midnight Light with another fantastic cover. The Midnight Light by Marie Rutkowski. It is, in the world, life is grim and punishing, crime abounds, a harsh tribunal rules, and society's pleasures are forbidden. Niram keeps her head down and a dangerous secret close to her heart. But then she meets Sid, a rakish traveller from far away who whispers rumours of magic. Magic could grant Niram a better life, but to seek it she will have to surrender everything she's ever known and place her trust in a sly stranger who asks, above all, not to be trusted. The Midnight Lie is an epic queer fantasy about learning to free ourselves from the lies others tell us and the lies we tell ourselves. So it's a fantasy book, beautiful cover. I'm intrigued. I remember this might be a YA one. There was a YA table. This one definitely is a YA book. I picked it up because of the cover and also because of the Irish phenomenon of the changeling. It's, if you've ever seen any Irish horror movies, they generally have a changeling in them, which I had always thought was when fairies would come in and steal a human baby and put some sort of thing in their place that looks like a human baby but is like horrible. Learned at the National Leprechaun Museum that originally it was actually like an elderly man fairy who wanted to be breastfed by a beautiful Irish mother in his old age, which makes everything a lot worse, to be honest. But this is The Changeling by Helen Falconer. Yes, I think it's about a young girl who her parents accuse her or seem to think that she is a changeling of some kind. So she has to find a friend and try and figure out the story. So I'm gonna see what that is like. 2 more books to go. This is why my back hurts, because I was carrying all these on. Another author I know, Joe Hill, The Fireman. I didn't even read what this was about. If you know what it's about, let me know. Let me know if it's good or not. I like Joe Hill's writing, but I've only read a couple of his so far. What was that one? There's one about the rock star. Heart-Shaped Box. Didn't like that, but only because I didn't like the characters in the book. The actual writing was good. This is a classic, almost 800 pages, so let's hope I like this one. Last but not least, gravitated towards this because it is a gorgeous purple colour, and because I've heard of this so many times but never actually listened to the podcast. It is Welcome to Night Vale, a novel by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner. I think I tried to listen to the podcast at some point, just didn't really hook into it, so I might try that again. But this is a creepy looking book. Let me see what it looks like with the dust cover off. Classic black hardcover. That's nice. So I'm gonna see how that goes. I do like, some people don't like it, but I love adding humor and absurdity to horror. I love having something be creepy and scary, but also just adding a bit of humor into it. Terry Carnation is another one that I very much like. If you're looking for a podcast you should check out. If you love humor and dark stuff and also true stories, you should check out Radio Rental. It's hosted by the character Terry Carnation, who is Rainn Wilson, who is Dwight from The American Office. Absolutely fantastic true stories, and I love it. They do not put out enough of those, but I think that's kind of whereas this is totally fiction, those are true stories, but he adds in some great levity to it, so I love those. So how many books is that one? 22 books. 22 books for 10 quid. That's going to charity. Phenomenal. So I'm gonna replenish and eat some food now. Let me know if you've read any of these books or these authors, or you know anything about them. Let me know what you're reading as well for this spooky season. And thank you so much for watching. I shall see you in the next video.